fair question is, Greg, how did you miss this? We did diligent investigation of Woodbridge before anyone found out about it from our office. I have a 50-minute telephone conversation recording of myself speaking with Dave Golden, the chief legal officer of Woodbridge, at the very beginning in 2012. I asked him how were the properties sourced, how to make these initial loans. Was Woodbridge secured against the real estate, and were those recorded publicly? Did they have title insurance on these properties to ensure that there wasn't a cloud on the title for these deals? How were the assignments of these first mortgages worked and recorded? How were you and I as lenders protected? I got several examples of current notes that they had in place, the title insurance policies on those deals, examples of the assignments, proof that these assignments had been put on public records with the clerk and recorder for that county. I spoke with a total of 3 salaried lawyers for Woodbridge through that time, and we would work with them on recording examples or finding proof that our folks were recorded publicly. We got many examples of public recordings proof showing that the lender was secured by the real estate. Then we would do spot checks in our office, generally in June. That's when our office is typically pretty quiet. I would have employees of ours take a stack of recent Woodbridge loans. They do the following. Number one, they would go find that exact piece of real estate, not on Google, not on Zillow, but on the county's website, showing that that piece of real estate really existed. Then we would search the public records for our client to see that that person's name was in fact on the public records against the property. They were. In the case of Colorado properties, we ordered and paid for a report called an O&E. That stands for Ownership and Encumbrances. You get that from a title company. It will show your recorded claims against a property. You could order this, for example, on your own residence and see what's available for information. All of these spot checks proved out. In 2 cases, we even found small errors on how the public recording was made by Woodbridge. In one case, a slight misspelling of a client's name, where he had a little bit of an unusual name and a silent H had been left off of the public recording. In the second case, we found a client that was in a piece of real estate and the recording was done in Summit County, but the property was over the line in Pitkin County. So the client was recorded, understand, but there was just a technical error in how the attorney had performed the recording. We passed on these errors to the staff attorneys at Woodbridge, and they were very thankful to make these corrections. We have email traffic for all of this from 2013, 14, 15. But you know what I can't find out or uncover? That the notes and related documents generated by Shapiro were based on the fiction that Woodbridge pooled investor funds and made secured loans to specific unrelated third parties. These representations were false. The investors were uniformly misled on these transactions. In reality, the supposed third-party borrowers were almost all Shapiro-owned or Woodbridge-owned and controlled entities. Shapiro created affiliates with which some of the money was loaned and which purchased real estate. But these affiliates had no source of cash to make monthly interest payments back to Woodbridge prior to the property sale, thus leaving Woodbridge prior to these sales without any significant source of revenue to pay investors. That's the part where Shapiro borrowed the funds from Woodbridge to buy real estate and then never had intentions of making monthly debt service back to Woodbridge. That's where they start to use the word Ponzi, and not just as an old-fashioned fraud. These frauds or lies were just not facts that I could have reasonably uncovered, as they were all private to Woodbridge and Shapiro. I have never met Shapiro, I've never spoken to Shapiro, and I certainly did not have a whiff that any of these frauds or shams were being perpetrated by him on us. I'm a victim too. I myself, a son of mine, lent money to Woodbridge, a daughter of mine lent money to Woodbridge, one of my sisters, and my dear old mother had several of these notes. Our family thought that we were doing a good thing using this opportunity and have been on this emotional ride along with you for the last few months. In conclusion, I cannot do any better than the concluding statement in the general overview and summary statement. It reads, "The debtors deeply regret the circumstances and understand the precarious financial position that many investors and lenders are in as a result of Shapiro's fraud and schemes and the sudden collapse last December. Our best path is to stay positive, let the real estate experts take it from here, liquidating the properties, and see if in fact we don't get back something close to 100% of our principal. That's what I'm hoping."